We've been trying to reach you for months. Did you help GSP troopers turn pit crashes into payouts? What do you have to say to the drivers that they sued after intentionally hitting them? Do you think it's appropriate to be taking donations from folks that work directly with the companies that you're tasked with regulating?
You know, my first 2 elections, I didn't.
Is this something that the JDA and CETA need to take a look at and overhaul processes when it comes to vetting what is going on in the companies that they're giving tax breaks to? Do you have any contact information for the folks at eGreen?
I stopped full communication with them.
Police officers are victim to the same things that people are.
Should they be held to a higher standard given their position?
Officers, when they're out patrolling.
We told you first in December about the presence of undocumented workers on the site and allegations that those workers were being exploited and exposed to safety hazards due to their legal status. We also have covered the absolute outrage from the local construction community, with people saying that they have been passed over from getting work at the site in favor of cheaper illegal labor. There's also a camp of people that have been advocating for something to be done about the Hyundai project and the Hyundai megasite. Wasn't in the car, wasn't being chased, but the trooper still collected a $25,000 insurance settlement from her. Now, the owner, Letitia Banks, wasn't driving. In fact, she wasn't even inside the car. But now her insurance rates are sky high, and she says she feels she's being punished for something that even the trooper who sued her said wasn't her fault. This is 2024 dash cam video from now former GSP trooper Hunter Waters' patrol car.
We're in the Home Depot parking lot.
Showing the pit crash that Letitia Banks says she's been paying for ever since. Banks owned the car, but she wasn't in it.
Put your hands up right now!
She was standing outside work when it happened. Waters approaching her after the crash.
Do you know whose niece on this?
He was coming to pick me up from work. I don't know what happened.
Who's coming to pick you up?
He was coming to pick me up from work.
So he was coming to, wow. What are the chances of that?
I seen my vehicle come in, and then I seen 2 police cars that were behind. And to get the car to get pulled over, one car had clipped the car. It spun and hit a light pole that was in the parking lot. Caesar Tompkins is listed as the driver on the crash report, and Banks is listed as the owner of the Kia he was driving. What it doesn't list? Any injuries, including to Trooper Waters. But months later, Waters' attorney Tina Maddox sent Geico this demand letter seeking the $25,000 policy limit from Banks' insurance. The letter said Waters did not seek medical treatment, but claimed body aches, soreness, and anxiety, though he even said he was fine on the crash scene.
Oh man, I'm cold.
Yeah, it's cold out here. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
That night, Waters even apologized to Banks and told her she was not at fault.
Well, ma'am, if it's worth anything, I'm sorry.
So I'm screwed with the damages?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I mean, I can't really give you like a for sure answer, but I don't know. I don't know what the insurance company would really say, considering, did you give him permission to drive it?
Yeah, because I was at work, so yes, he has my car keys.
I mean, well, obviously you're not at fault, you know, that goes without saying.
Were you aware that the officer involved in the crash had sued your insurance company in addition to the other insurance things that you were having to deal with?
No, I wasn't aware of that. I became aware when you contacted me to let me know what was going on.
A release document shows Waters received $25,000 from Banks' insurance tied to the crash.
To know that you have someone that's supposed to protect and serve you to go behind your back and do something like this, I was devastated.
Hey, good morning.
How you doing, sir?
Good.
In an internal interview with Department of Public Safety investigators earlier this year, Waters said this crash was not the only one he sent to Maddox's office.
How many total? I'd say at least 7, 8.
What it sounds like is you get the information or the crash report, you give it to Miss Maddox, and then you sit back and wait for a check. Basically what it sounds like. Did you agree?
I mean, in the cases where I would give them, yeah.
He said he settled 3 claims for $25,000 each. 3 other troopers, Joseph Curley, Isaiah Francois, and Tyler Bird, also sent crash reports to Maddox, with the troopers collectively making almost $100,000. The troopers told investigators Maddox took a third of each settlement. She hasn't responded to our requests for comment for months, so we asked her our questions directly. Hi, we've been trying to reach you for months. Did you help GSP troopers turn pit crashes into payouts? What do you have to say to the drivers that they sued after intentionally hitting them? Do you believe these troopers had legitimate personal injury claims?
I don't speak about cases that belong to my clients. That is a violation of the attorney-client privilege. And I would appreciate you leaving me alone, or I will get a restraining order.
The 4 troopers involved in the scandal were all fired from GSP. And after WTOC Investigates exposed it earlier this year, the Georgia Insurance Commissioner's Office opened an investigation. While Waters netted around $16,000 from the crash, Banks says she was without a car for 5 months. And when she finally got another vehicle,
Even though I wasn't the one that was responsible for it, my premiums had went up because of it.
Banks says she is now with another insurance company and that the higher cost has affected her finances.
It's hard because now I have to pay more for my car, something that I do need, and it takes away from other things that I had planned for.
Dr. Robert Hoyt, the chair of insurance at UGA's Terry College of Business, says it's not unreasonable that a claim like the one against Banks could be affecting her insurance costs now.
If there's been serious claim activity, that can absolutely result in increases in costs to a particular consumer.
He says questionable or fraudulent claims do not just cost insurance companies. Those costs can spread through the system.
You and I and every other consumer of insurance is ultimately footing the bill for that.
While the insurance commissioner's office investigates, Banks is pleading for justice after being punished, she says, for something out of her hands.
I would like for the money to be returned. I would like for my premiums to go back down. I'm being held responsible for someone else's actions.
There were multiple insurance companies that paid out settlements to the GSP troopers. Many of them declined to comment on the situation, but Georgia Farm Bureau has told me they're exploring their legal options. Now, Waters, along with the 3 other troopers, were fired and have not faced criminal charges. The Department of Public Safety has previously said the troopers involved were fired for violating department policy and ethical standards.
The cop, he was parked further down by like the entrance to the, I think it's the middle school.
Coming up behind him, moved over to the opposing lane of travel.
I started to turn and then I saw a light.
He kind of did a little, like a wobble, like didn't know what to do. And then I thought he was gonna go right. And instead, he tried to turn left.
And next thing I know, I was in the hospital.
March 21st, 2019 is the day Luther Roberts' life changed forever. A quick trip to talk with his uncle ended with severe consequences.
It was like what they call traumatic amputation. So when the car hit me, it just took my leg with it.
Roberts was hit by Savannah police officer Matthew Clay.
Just tell me what happened. So we had a call for a robbery.
He can be heard on this dash cam video explaining what happened before the crash.
Lights and siren. Lights and siren.
The problem? He passed Roberts in a no passing zone, going more than 40 miles over the speed limit. Roberts says he never saw it coming.
He cut the lights on like 2 seconds before he hit me.
So you had no warning?
No.
Roberts estimates he spent 4.5 months in the hospital after the accident, only the last month or so conscious. He dealt with a brain injury, organ damage, burns, memory loss, headaches, damage to his hand, depression, and of course, the loss of his leg. And data shows Roberts is far from the only person who's been in a crash with the Savannah Police Department. Georgia Department of Transportation data shows from January 2022 to April 2025, SPD was involved in 469 crashes. 9 of those causing serious injuries. In the same time period, the Atlanta Police Department was involved in 680 crashes, also causing 9 serious injuries. But Savannah is much smaller than Atlanta. The numbers show SPD officers getting crashes at double the rate of Atlanta police officers. GDOT data doesn't distinguish who is at fault, but SPD data shows that officers were in 385 preventable crashes in that same time frame.
When I thought about it at first hand, I thought that's an interesting fact or some interesting numbers and data that we have.
Alderman Curtis Pertee represents Savannah's 6th District, but also has 25 years of experience in law enforcement. He says there are key differences between the two cities that could be contributing factors. Pedestrian traffic, a crowded downtown area, and lots of truck traffic from the ports. All things officers have to deal with too.
Sometimes police officers are victim to the same things that people are.
Should they be held to a higher standard given their position?
Officers, when they're out patrolling, oftentimes they're not just focused on the rules of the road. When they're patrolling a neighborhood, and sometimes the littlest things that they may not see can cause an accident. But should we hold them to a higher standard all the time?
An investigation by Georgia Post, the agency that oversees officers in the state, found at the time of the crash, Clay was driving over 80 miles an hour. He also didn't help Luther Roberts because Roberts was on fire. Clay thought Roberts was debris from the accident. A bystander saved Roberts instead.
The officer told him to stop when he was putting out the fire. He's the one that applied a tourniquet to stop me from bleeding out.
Clay was suspended from the Savannah Police Department for 40 hours. He was put on probation by Post for 2 years. He was also indicted in Chatham County on a misdemeanor reckless driving charge, but the case was dropped after he completed a pretrial diversion program. He now works for the Bryan County Sheriff's Office.
He's able to advance in his career while I'm stuck. I'm going in reverse. Is there going to ever be any consequences? Just because you have a badge, that doesn't mean that your neglect is washed away.
The city of Savannah did take a financial hit from Roberts' crash, paying him $500,000. Roberts says it's not nearly enough to cover his now lifetime of medical expenses, but it's a drop in the bucket compared to what the city has paid other crash victims since the beginning of 2019. Since then, the city has paid 216 people a combined $3.9 million just for crashes they've been in with SPD officers.
Should the number be lower than $3 million? All day long. All day long. Once you start getting into some of those medical bills and damages on vehicle, that sort of thing, the price can get awfully high. We are paying out, the community is paying out because of the actions of our city employees.
Pertee believes training is the way to prevent scenarios like Luther Roberts's. Recruits go through 2 weeks of training at the police academy prior to certification. Stephen Rivers, who oversees driver training at SPD, says the department's officers do driver training once a year, which focuses more on routine driving than pursuit scenarios.
Paying attention to everything, right? Consideration of other drivers around you. We can't drive for other people, but a lot of times we can pay attention, extreme attention, and you may see something that could or couldn't go good.
The training takes place at a course in Southside Savannah that Alderman Pertee says is simply not big enough.
They never revert back to that training when they don't get the training to be able to go out on a larger track in a larger area and practice some of those things and learn the ability of what their vehicle can do.
Pertee says he's been working with SPD to identify spaces in Savannah a bigger course could go. As for Roberts, he's not riding motorcycles anymore. His doctor's telling him he's just lucky to be alive. Do you feel lucky?
Lucky? I wouldn't use that term. I feel more like I still have a purpose. That's my explanation. I'm still here to do something more.
Our WTOC Investigates team first told you that there have been more than 53 EMS calls to the Hyundai megasite in Bryan County since April of 2023. 14 of those calls were for traumatic injuries. We've spoken to several people that work at the plant that say there is not enough concern for safety on the site. WTOC Investigates. Shea Schrader live in the studio now. And Shea, that story doesn't end there.
Yes, Mike, the workers that I've spoken with say that they feared for their safety day in and day out on the Hyundai site. So why not just walk away? More than half a dozen people that have ties to the site tell me that many of the workers feel trapped and exploited because of their immigration status. A leg being run over by a forklift, a conveyor belt crush, and a fatal fall. Bryan County and OSHA records show a tough reality for workers at the Hyundai megasite. Fernando Garcia and Kevin Souza worked on the site in the fall of 2023. The two, who have been working in construction for 28 and 26 years respectively, say they've never been on a job site so unsafe. Did you ever consider, because of the safety of the site, walking away from the job, or did you ever see other people walk away?
A lot of other people walked away, but truthfully, if we would have walked away, I mean, then, you know, who's going to get pictures of all this and get recordings. Recordings
like this one, a conversation Garcia captured between himself and a foreman on the site, explaining that you can get hired even if you're undocumented.
Y no importa, ¿verdad? Con papeles, sin papeles, ¿verdad? Pero no le diga así directamente. No. Ni le diga que yo le dije. No, tranquilo, pero no importa, ¿verdad? Yo le digo que lo llame.
It doesn't matter. But Souza says it does, saying workers' undocumented status on the site is what keeps them there despite all the safety risks. The bigger concern is deportation.
We were up in the lift one day, and I guess it was a supposed ICE raid. Well, we're looking down out the lift, and I mean, people are just bolting across the field, hopping the fence on 16, running towards the parking lot. And we're like, you know, what in the world is going on? And then somebody said ICE is on site, and it actually shut a lot of the job down for 2 days because all the workers fled.
The panic of workers at the plant may have just been the result of a rumor, as Immigrations and Customs Enforcement says they haven't had any enforcement activities at the Hyundai site since construction started. We also requested copies of any visas issued for work on the site from U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, but that request was denied. Some immigrant workers are fighting back against what they call exploitation on the megasite. Jonathan Rincon, who says he came to the United States from Colombia for work, filed a lawsuit against Hyundai subcontractor Syscon and their subcontractors H&B USA and PPE Trading Co. The lawsuit alleges that Rincon, along with another worker, were never paid raises that they were owed and were never given overtime pay despite regularly working over 40 hours a week.
It was really hard. They treat us very different. They will talk to us like if we were in the army. They would call us names, many times undocumented.
The parties settled the lawsuit, with PPE Trading Co. agreeing to pay out over $43,000, including back wages and attorney's fees. The settlement hasn't been approved by a judge yet, but when it is, the company has 48 hours to pay. But the lack of pay wasn't the only issue Rincon had on the site. During work, he says that he often underwent verbal and at one point physical abuse.
Have you ever worked on a job site like that before, where you were treated this way?
¿Habías trabajado en un lugar donde te trataran de esa manera?
No.
It was really hard for us, but you know, we need to work, so sometimes we have to take that and keep working. And it got to the point where one time one of the Korean supervisors raised his hand on me and became physical, and after that they were trying to find a way to get rid of me, and they finally did.
A 2021 report by the Center for American Progress shows there were nearly 1.6 million immigrants working in construction, and nearly 500,000 of them were undocumented. Darwin Bonilla, a workers' rights advocate, provides aid to immigrant workers and came to Bryan County after he says he heard too many reports to ignore. He helped Rincon get in touch with legal help.
This is probably the biggest job site that I found where that many workers are being mistreated and exploited.
Part of the safety risk that immigrant workers face at the job site has to do with language. Bryan County records show in several cases, EMS workers were unable to communicate with injured people on the Hyundai site due to language barriers. OSHA records also show, in the case of Sungwon, a Hyundai subcontractor that was fined for serious safety violations, an employee of their subcontractor, JGL, fell 20 feet after disconnecting his safety harness and climbing onto a conveyor. A Sungwon manager wrote in a report to the Department of Labor that his company would typically give safety training to subcontractors, but in this instance, they, quote, provided our safety policy to JGL and asked them to train their guys because not all of the employees could speak English. We do not have a copy of our safety policy in Spanish.
Many times, again, we just talk about the immigrant workers, and nothing has been said about these companies and contractors abusing the workers that come to this country.
Who do you think is ultimately responsible for preventing this kind of abuse from happening?
It should be whoever is in charge of the plant. In this case, if Honda is the contractor, they're ultimately responsible for everything that goes on inside. They should be, they should know who is at the plant all the time, from the companies that are there to the workers that are performing the work.
These guys that are working there, as far as undocumented, you know, they have some rights too. I mean, they really do.
We reached out to Hyundai asking for an on-camera interview about the allegations of undocumented workers being present and exploited on the site. They declined to interview but sent us a statement that says in part, quote, HMGMA requires all parties with whom it directly contracts to ensure that all personnel performing work on its premises have been properly verified according to all applicable federal and state employment and immigration laws.